This presentation is not intended to be, even at an elementary level, a tutorial of any sorts on the matter and mechanics of waste disposal. Rather, I hope to encourage you, as I have need to encourage myself, that indeed this matter of waste disposal is of such significance that it is no less important than most any other critical component of life, such as the necessity of air and water. For you see, waste is destroying that very air and water. Waste as a general matter is a principal cause component of all pollution. What man creates or he uses, he must dispose of eventually, even if that something somewhat itself returns to dust. For until a matter has disappeared, it takes up literal space, may that be buried in the ground, or deep under water, or held in a container. Or, even when incinerated, the ashes must go somewhere, as does the polluted smoke which bellows from the smokestacks, contaminating the air we breathe with soot and poisonous gases. Water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink, is a line from the rhyme of an ancient mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. It was his sentiment, this man out to sea with water everywhere around him, but not a drop for him to drink. But this could very well apply to the availability of fresh water in many developing and water-poor countries as well as America. Water is an amazing and renewable resource, but the growing population and years of mismanagement have stressed the supply of fresh water. Water scarcity is a problem now and will become an even larger problem in the future as water sources are reduced or polluted and population grows. Because of the seemingly endless source of water, it has been wasted and polluted, and so the consequences are that both fresh and saltwater reserves have been severely compromised at our hands. In 1995, about 40% of the world's population faced water scarcity. Science estimates that by the year 2025, nearly half of the world's people won't have enough water to meet their daily needs. Nearly one quarter of the world's people will have less than water to use in an entire year than some people in the United States use in one day. Lakes and ponds and streams and rivers is home to wildlife. Here is one example of the result of mismanagement of waste disposal. Humans have always followed the principle of the solution to pollution is dilution, from human waste to industrial effluent. Many people in the world have no choice but to drink from the same polluted river where sewage is dumped. One-fifth of all people in the world, more than 1.1 billion, do not have access to safe water for drinking, personal cleanliness, and domestic use. Unsafe drinking water carries many pathogens or disease-causing agents such as infectious bacteria, toxic chemicals, radiological hazards, and parasites. The effect on wildlife, the toll is evident. Increasingly, it is becoming nearly immeasurable across the globe. It's important to remember that fish are a source of food, but here it is wasted food. These fish could have fed someone or another larger predator fish. Instead, they are just dead fish of pollution caused by waste. They are now also contributing to causing detrimental conditions in the water: decay, decomposition, disease. As a method to mitigate waste disposal and waste mismanagement, conservation biology attempts to slow down the rate at which we are destroying and degrading the Earth's biodiversity. More people require more food, and more food requires the use of more land, water, and fossil fuels, all of which impacts the environment. The same applies to the production of any product and even services for consumption, all of which leave behind waste, of which must be disposed. If disposed improperly, the consequences are dire. There are many reasons as to detrimental importance for the need of proper waste disposal. Here are a few. Food loss and waste is food that is not eaten. The cause of food waste or loss are numerous and occur throughout the food system during production, processing, distribution, retail, and food service sales and consumption. Waste is produced by human activity or lack of care. Overall, about one-third of the world's food is thrown away. Meanwhile, developing nations are starving to death, here in America as well. Waste management is intended to reduce the adverse effects of waste on human health, the environment, planetary resources, and aesthetics. Waste disposal includes the process and actions required to manage waste from its inception to its final disposal. This includes the collection, transport, treatment, and disposal of waste. In broad category, the origin of wastes are mining, agricultural forestry, industry, household commercial and government entities, construction demolition, wastewater treatment. In the first systemic review of the scientific evidence around global waste, its management, and its impact on human health and life, authors concluded that about a fourth of all the municipal solid terrestrial waste is not collected, and an additional fourth is mismanaged after collection, often being burned in open and uncontrolled fires. Efforts are in place with monitoring and regulation of the waste management process and waste-related laws, technologies, and economic mechanisms that attempt to alleviate the destructive impact of garbage. With that, however, increasingly science, with all its miracle-like magic, is struggling to keep up with the garbage, including industrial, biological, household, municipal, organic, biomedical, and radioactive wastes. Waste can be solid, liquid, or gaseous, and each type has different methods of disposal and management. Across the globe, it has reached catastrophic proportions. Some countries and continents are under a siege of sorts. Earth's mountains now include mountains of waste. The sheer volume is beyond comprehension. What do we do with everything we must dispose of? Just wish it away? Maybe just burn it away. But if we just burn it away, the release of poisonous pollutants into the air, our atmosphere, makes the solution perhaps worse than the landfill mountains. The true toll on human life that air pollution has, is, and will cause is still largely unknown in terms of attributing the harm to being the direct cause of deaths, birth defects, and a myriad of disease and human suffering. Though science has given us some hard data, and they know a lot, science tells us the destruction is far more than can be measured currently with accuracy. The suffocation of human life and nature from the byproducts of waste mismanagement and waste disposal is so severe, widespread, and rampant. There is corporate and Main Street cover-up. The Goliath of waste, industrial waste. Remember, waste is much more than that empty milk carton or can of pop or leftover chicken nuggets or empty box of cereal you throw in the garbage can. Waste includes any and all byproducts of the manufacturing process of that box of cereal, can of pop, and milk carton. Industrial waste is wreaking havoc worldwide. Hazardous liquid waste is spilled into the ground, which then poisons the water we drink. And toxic gases are released into the air we breathe, choking our atmosphere. And remember, in between the ground and the air is where life is lived. In other words, everything is affected. So what's the big deal with waste disposal? It's just garbage.